once again as the #1 seeded Cavaliers. So we'll be tied Jerome again.
Their poise in that second half was impressive. Let's see who can get off to a good start. Remember, +11 were the Pacers after the first quarter in game one.
Tony Brothers, David Guthrie, Nick Booker, our terrific officiating crew, and that is Tyrese Halliburton picking up where he left off. He was 22 and 13 assists in the opener.
And he does it within the confines of their system. And some might say that he is their system because of his style of play.
How does Donovan Mitchell handle the scoring burden tonight? Well, encouraging start for the Cavs.
Yeah, he's going to have to be aggressive offensively, but I felt like they just didn't move the basketball very well in that first game, as you see. And offensively, it's going to be important, but I really feel like their defense is going to have to be infinitely better than it was the last game.
Mitchell misfires on a three. Remember, he struggled from deep in game one, just 1 of 10 from the three-point line. Pascal Siakam, bit of a mismatch, and then it's Jerome able to collapse with the help. Mitchell on the attack, brings out. Kept alive underneath. This is Jerome probing Allen. Where they need a big night from all of these other players.
And early on here, you expect Mitchell to be aggressive.
Nesmith.
This movement where they didn't move the defense from side to side, it created no screens, especially in the open floor.
Indiana won game one on the strength of their three-point shooting. Can that hot three-point stroke continue for them as Nesmith misses in the corner? Indiana was 19 of 36 in game one, G, at nearly a 53% clip. Allen, pass, get up by Strus.
And really set up by Mitchell. If you saw how that Pacers defense was loaded to him, the quick pass to Strus and that deep dive there by Allen creates it.
Miles Turner working on the perimeter, surrounded, double team. Nesmith able to beat Jerome with the step. Allen to help. Nesmith the force, missed everything.
That possession we did not see a lot of defensively in game one. That was a great job of not allowing the Pacers to dictate.
Mitchell, you felt really good about what his teams did in game one, but that look just never changes. Poked away, Turner showing some of his defensive abilities. Here's Andrew Nembhard again, magnificent the other day. Here's Nesmith. So Aaron Nesmith now, one of his first three from deep.
Yeah, you talked about it. They were electric from deep in game one, getting off to a little bit of a slower start here.
Nembhard the takeaway. Jerome thought he was bumped. Siakam open.
To the years, you did a phenomenal job, but this is defensively, and I think that's going to work to their detriment if it doesn't change.
Darius Garden didn't miss a ton of games this year. Played 75 games most of his career. Last year, in games that they were without both Mobley and Garland, Cleveland went 14-4. So they've been here before. How do they handle things tonight?
When you shift eyes and shift bodies, it creates opportunities for you offensively.
Siakam out to Nembhard, catch and shoot. A little bit too much. So the Pacers 1 of 4 from deep.
Well, the Pacers, the ball's not popping like we saw at the start of game one. Credit that, I think, somewhat to how Cleveland's come out defensively.
Mitchell tripped up
defense time and time again in game one.
Well, they desperately big shooting night from the three.
That is what was missing. They came into game one leading the postseason in three-point shooting as a team. It just was not there in game one.
Max Strus, last 2 games, going back to the Heat series, just 3 of 15 from deep. Shot clock at 3, Halliburton, Nembhard, that's a deep 3, barely gets rim. And it's out of bounds.
From the Cavs, they're not allowing the Pacers to move the ball with quickness.
Ty Jerome looking for some early offense. A little bit of chatter about the number of shots, GA, that he had in game one. He took 20 shots.
Didn't create a lot of offense. It was a lot of self-willing. And I think they've got to get away from that and have a little more trust in their teammates.
Donovan Mitchell Right around Halliburton, just couldn't put it down. Halliburton on the run. One of their first fast break opportunities, sets the table. This is Turner. The rebound for Wade. One of the reasons Atkinson wanted to plug in Wade tonight, his ability to rebound and defend with some of that length. Mitchell. As Sam Merrill now is inserted for the first time tonight for Kenny Atkinson. Here comes Strus, contact.
On some of those playoff runs he had with the Jazz, Mitchell felt like he
wasted no time, but Kenny Atkinson has talked about some of those early conversations, maybe pulling it, and everything worked to perfection during the regular season. But Greg, as you know better than anyone, boy, it's just different in the playoffs. Now the injuries, how does Mitchell navigate all of that?
It's going to be important, but I tell you, this stretch here with all of the substitutions in, also equally as important, because it was when they went to the bench in game one, the Pacers, that they start to really create some separation. And let's see if they can be the Cavs a little more connected defensively here to start.
TJ McConnell into the game. You saw the drought for the Pacers. Turner, Art, Cavs. Indiana, Greg has missed 6 straight.
They haven't gotten their running game going. And credit the Cavs, they're not creating a lot of offense off the pass. There's a lot more dribbling to start this game from the Pacers. That's not necessarily the strength of their offense.
Both teams struggling from the field of their first 13.
Because that's where you find the cracks in this Pacers defense.
Mathurin picks up his second in less than 2 minutes. And Merrill rips one from deep. Cavaliers now 2 of their first 5 from the three-point line. Turner lead pass, Halliburton. That ball moving like a hot potato for the Pacers. They just can't shoot straight at the start. Toppin.
One of the other adjustments I really like from the Cavs, they've gone with a Okoro on TJ McConnell, who is a much better defender, especially against a crappy player like McConnell.
Halliburton threads the needle on top, and Turner's pass for Toppin too high. That transition that was so surgical in game one, just a little bit off kilter here at the start for the Pacers. Beautiful pass. This is Okoro underneath, and he lays it in.
Get them to get out and run to the corners, and they forced them to then have to put the ball on the floor to try to create better spacing, and they've extended. I love using Okoro more. He's probably their best perimeter defender, and so they utilize him on McConnell. Now he's going to get the task with Halliburton.
Boy, Nembhard crafty, finding some daylight underneath. First field goal in more than 6 minutes for the Pacers.
And one thing, if you're the Cavs, too, make the Pacers a two-point team. Don't allow them all that spacing and ball movement where they can pick you apart and shoot threes.
Here comes Allen trying to cock it.
Extending their defense a little more with Mitchell and Tyrone, making the early feed to Jared Allen, who has made a lot of good decision-making in the half court.
Nembhard trying to get Merrill onto his back, chisels his way into the paint, misses back of the rim. Thomas Bryant has checked in for Rick Carlisle and grabs the offensive rebound.
Communication, he is doing it all here for the Cavs.
Pacers have as many field goals as turnovers so far, as we are under the 4-minute mark in the first quarter. Shepherd trying to defend Mitchell. Mitchell stops on a dive to spin the fake. Under the bright lights of the NBA postseason.
And, you know, he's not really tall, but he's really wide. And he's got tremendously long arms, and that width gives him great leverage. Charles Barkley was a player like that. Was only 6'5" as a power forward, but he had such great leverage with the width of that body. It made it really hard.
8 first quarter turnovers. What will be your message to your team on how to clean that up?
We got to play harder. We got to play with more force.
All right, thanks, Coach. Guys.
All right, not the start to the quarter Rick Carlisle was looking for, as Dean Wade, who makes the start tonight, his 31st start of the season in place of the injured Evan Mobley, builds on their lead. Here comes Siakam. Big shot for the Pacers.
Yeah, they just need to see the ball go through the basket. Something easy. And Donovan Mitchell, though, has been in control of this game. He is dictating right now. 4 assists already. He had 4 assists the entire game one. So he has been doing everything to get this Cavs offense kick-started.
TJ McConnell trying to force the issue. No whistle. 10th Pacers turnover already. Tyrese Halliburton still on the bench for Rick Carlisle to begin the second, with McConnell handling the point. Donovan Mitchell, the orchestrator. Wade from deep. Offensive rebound, Merrill. Strus will pull. Boy, Wade getting extra possessions for the Cavs.
He has been incredible this game. He's won so many possessions.
Boy, and finally the Pacers able to track down a rebound. Well, can Indiana weather the storm? A team that really developed into one of the top road teams in the league this season. Looking for some offense.
Siakam, last few possessions, he's kind of settled them down. They've gotten much better shots here in this quarter.
A couple of minutes gone by in the second. Good movement. Strus in the corner. Good rotations by the Pacers. Strus to reset Merrill. He's got to work quickly. 2 to shoot. Elevates. Long rebound, McConnell. Looking for some mates. Pulls up, free throw line jumper, and hits.
A little bit in terms of how they attack, and credit the Cavs for kind of setting the tone defensively. You heard Rick Carlisle talk about it.
Tyrese Halliburton still on the bench. Back Strus working towards the corner. He got Merrill to bite.
Have struggled to create great looks in the half court.
Pick.
With Mitchell on the bench, you've got to be able to cut into this lead to give yourselves a great opportunity in the second.
So the lead, which at one point was 20, is down to 14 as we cross the 9-minute mark, quarter 2. Allen trying to create some space, hounded by Bryant. Off the hands of Porter, turnover. McConnell, Porter.
That just relies on winning one-on-one battles. They rely on their offense and their execution, and the Cavs have done a great job of not allowing that to be the case here in the first half.
So Mathurin missed the layup at one end, and then Strus off target. Boy, Tyrese Halliburton was a little bit hobbled behind the play. Looks like he's clutching in his left hand. What a big developing story. Vantage point as Turner hits on both. So they've cut it to 12 as we come up on 8 minutes left in the quarter.
The defense has definitely gotten better here for the Pacers.
Ty Jerome still looking for his first points. He's all 3 shooting into the paint. That'll
not just settling. And I think that
OKC, NBA.com, or the NBA app for the complete playoff schedule. Boy, it is hoop heaven right now. This time of year with the NBA playoffs starting to cook. Andrew Nembhard fights his way into the paint. Reset Turner. Boy, Porter making his presence felt, and then the steal.
How about the activity level from the Cavs, and Porter Jr. doing a terrific job of being active with those hands. And look how far out they've extended the offense of the Pacers.
Boy, can Halliburton, 13-point game. Good movement into the corner. This is Porter Jr. He will fire. And the rebound controlled by Indiana, Halliburton. But again, the Cavs able to get back. Turner on the box. Doubled up. They get it to Toppin. Rims out, the tip by Turner, no. Strus clears. Here comes Jerome trying to get Halliburton on his hip. This is short. Okoro had it, knocked away by Nembhard. Pacers looking to push. Mathurin from deep.
They're not knocking shots down, but they're getting better looks here.
Miles Turner.
Their defense, they're definitely picking up their intensity on that end.
Ty Jerome misses badly. Tapped out by Toppin, and Nembhard tracks it down. So we come up on the midway point of the quarter. Indiana has chipped away at what was a 20-point Cleveland lead. It's down to 10. Turner turns and easily is able to shoot over the top. So Miles Turner, back-to-back field goals, and we got an 8-point game. Can the Cavs get their offense reheated? 8 straight for Indiana. Jerome into the paint. Floater doesn't get the bounce. Strus.
How about the effort there by Strus? He read that miss, able to get in and get the offensive rebound, and that was a much-needed basket here for the Cavs. Saw Wade earlier, keeping possessions alive.
All right, so good news, at least so far, for Halliburton and the Pacers. If you've just joined us, Indiana was down 20 points earlier in the half, but boy, they're making their push. Aaron Nesmith, who was sensational in game 1, 17 points. He hit 4 threes, and he's cut it to 10. Strus.
Okay, we have seen this type of shooting exploit from the Cavs before. They have been lights out from deep.
Max Strus already his 4th 3 of the half as Halliburton answers and goes glass.
And keep in mind, only 9 made threes in game 1, already 8 here in the first half.
Donovan Mitchell still struggling from deep. So we come up on the 4-minute mark before the half. Max Strus. Mitchell against Nembhard. Boy, that lightning quick first step.
But I like how they're utilizing Donovan. He's been a much more willing passer here, getting his teammates involved, forcing the Cavs to have to think a little bit more how they attack.
Here's with Boston in the trade. Summer of 20 first got him. He showed up and went to the team. He was 2 years in. He wanted to play on their summer league team. And it was the first indicator of the kind of player he is.
Yeah, his character is on display there. And the other thing, he's really improved with the decision making and the anticipation example there defensively.
First turnover of the quarter committed by Cleveland. Siakam, Nembhard wide open. Won't get a better look than that. And this thing is down to single digits.
And that's been a few times now where Siakam's had a post up and the Cavs have fallen asleep and lost cutters.
But that thing kept alive initially by Allen.